What's up, Raptor fans? Your host, Adon Moss here. No Sahal, no Oren, no Zarar, no Kyle. They're all watching that sport you call footy. I'm doing an impromptu video just to outline today's games and to talk about all of the playoff seeding implications. There is a lot going on. I don't know if you've ever watched the Sherlock Holmes show, but you know that mind map where there's like a three-dimensional twisty web of scenarios and situations? That's kind of what we got going on here. So I thought I'd map it out a little bit for you so you know who you want to cheer for. Okay, so let's take a look at the standings. We got Miami Heat firmly in first. Milwaukee's currently in second. Boston's in third. Philly's in fourth. We're firmly in fifth no matter what happens against the Knicks today. Boston's firmly in sixth. The 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is very complicated. And so that's relevant insofar as whoever finishes second, they don't know who they're going to play. It could be Brooklyn, it could be Atlanta, it could be Charlotte or Cleveland. So you don't really want to take that risk. I'll tell you right now, I'd be okay playing Cleveland or Charlotte in a play-in. Though if Charlotte suddenly got hot, that would be very scary. But that's a coin flip because you could just as well play Atlanta and Brooklyn, who I definitely would not want to play in the first round, versus, say, the Chicago Bulls. So that makes the third seed, I think, kind of the golden seed out of the second, third, and fourth. No one, apparently, the national media wants to play the Toronto Raptors. I could have told you that 6 weeks ago. They're just figuring it out now. Whatever, that's their problem. So let's go through what tonight can look like. So I'm going to pull up the rules, which have become relevant. And they're just so antiquated, but whatever, it is what it is. Maybe Adam Silver will innovate some kind of like new algorithm to determine who deserves the tiebreaker. So the first tiebreaker is head to head. So that means, so let's talk about Boston and Philly first. So right now they are tied. If they both win, Boston and Philly would be tied. They are tied in their head-to-head series. That would also mean they are tied as division winners. So then it would go who has the better Atlantic Division record, and that would be Boston. So if Boston and Philly win today, Boston takes at least third, Philly falls into fourth. So from our perspective, I personally want to play Philly over Boston. I'm cheering for a Philly loss and or a Boston win. Okay, so if you enjoy Precious Achiuwa stifling James Harden, that's what you're going to cheer for. This is where things get a little bit trickier. So Milwaukee's currently ahead of Boston by 1 game. If Milwaukee loses and Boston wins, then they are tied for second. Now, Boston and Milwaukee also split this. If this happens, so Boston and Milwaukee have split the season series, so they're tied. They are also both division winners. So then it goes to conference record. They also would have the same conference record. So then it goes to the fourth level tiebreaker, which is what is the team's record versus Eastern Conference playoff teams. That would go to Boston, who would be 20-13, versus Milwaukee 17-15. So if Boston wins, they actually just jump, or if Boston wins and Milwaukee loses, Boston jumps to second place. Now, this is where it makes things interesting because Boston probably wants to play Chicago. But if they throw the game and Philly wins, then they drop to fourth. So they really kind of have to win this game and hope that Milwaukee wins. But then maybe Milwaukee wants to throw the game. They're safe. I believe they're safe from falling into fourth. So that makes it kind of like this interesting mind game. Knowing Milwaukee, they're just going to say, we'll take anybody. We're just going to win this game. We'll take second place. We'll take home court advantage. From Toronto's perspective, I mean, fifth place couldn't really be any better. Fourth place is just slightly better because you get home court advantage, but Toronto will play. I'm hoping Philly in the first round. Then they play the winner of Miami and whoever the eighth seed is, Atlanta or Brooklyn, in the second round. So they wouldn't have to deal with Boston or Milwaukee, who we claim as these quote unquote Raptor killers, more so than other teams, until the Eastern Conference Finals. So this maps out really well for us. Now, that's basically it. We can talk about who's playing who today and kind of get a sense of what's going to happen. Um, Milwaukee's playing Cleveland. So Cleveland needs to win this game as well because they could finish. I'm not going to tell you the tiebreakers between Cleveland, Atlanta, and Brooklyn and Charlotte because it's like a whole mess. Let me just pull up the conference standings again. Here we go. Scroll down a little bit here. So Cleveland and Brooklyn are tied. If the Hornets or Hawks win and the Cavs lose, they could tie. It could be like who knows. So all we know is that Cleveland probably, I'm sure, somewhere in the back rooms of the Cleveland Cavaliers head offices, some poor intern is mapping this out on a whiteboard. We're not going to do that, but I could probably assume that Cleveland wants to win right now. So that Milwaukee Cleveland game could be quite the battle. The Celtics are playing Memphis. Memphis is coming off a back-to-back. They're locked into second. They have nothing to play for. So Boston can basically win this game if they want to. I'd be shocked if Memphis plays Ja, although he just got back from injury, so maybe they want to give him a little bit of reps. The 76ers situation is totally fucking hysterical. They are playing on the second end of back-to-back as well. They beat Indiana yesterday. They take on Detroit, who's been playing really well lately, but they're actually incentivized to lose. If Detroit wins and Oklahoma City loses, they would tie for the fourth worst record in the NBA. That's relevant because the bottom three have 14% chance of getting the first overall pick, whereas the fourth place team has a 12.5% chance. And as you know, Oklahoma is doing a pretty damn good job of throwing games these days. They had one starting lineup. I have it here. Isaiah Roby, someone Horde, Vit Krejci, Georgios Kalazekis, and somebody Simpson. So, yeah, they're basically fielding like a Euro B team, essentially. What's the tiebreaker between Oklahoma and Detroit? I don't know. Don't ask. It just gets more and more complicated. They did split the season series, and they sure as hell aren't division winners. So I think it would go to the third or fourth tier to figure that out. So what does that mean? So I think Boston is going to beat Memphis. I think Philly's going to handle Detroit because Detroit's going to do everything in their power to lose that game. And I think Milwaukee is going to lose. So that would have Boston finishing second. That would have Milwaukee finishing third and Philly finishing fourth, meaning we would play Philadelphia. I hope that all makes sense to you. I think that just strategically makes sense for Milwaukee. Second and third doesn't really matter. There's a home court disadvantage if Milwaukee moves to the second round with Boston. That's the only downfall. But otherwise, they're all kind of, the two of them are basically destined to play each other in the second round. The only way this would go otherwise is if Philly won and Boston lost. Then that would kind of funk things up. I don't see that happening. So that's it. Yeah, I'm cheering for Boston. Boston's my team from long ago when KG and Ray Allen there. So I have like a sliver of like a fandom left for them. I cringe every time Doc Rivers blows a game just because my heart goes out to him. But that's it for me. Enjoy the games today, and let's go Boston.